In a remote corner of the western Pacific Ocean lies a group of widely scattered islands that make up Solomon Islands. Here, sweeping waves of change are taking place, threatening their very own existence. These distant and isolated islands now find themselves at the front line of a global struggle against the impacts of climate change. Choiseul Province, or Nauru as it is known locally, is one of the 9 provinces of Solomon Islands and is located in the northwest of Solomon Islands archipelago. One of the more remote provinces of Solomon Islands, it consists mainly of Choiseul Island, 2 small islands, Wangina and Rob Roy, and the small island of Taro, the provincial capital. It has a population of 26,372, which is 5.5% of the total population, and with 4,712 households. Here, people's livelihoods depend on subsistence farming with very limited commercial activity.
Taro is the capital of Choiseul Province. So it has got this mixture of urban and rural kind of setting to it, but it really, in terms of the local food, it depends a lot on the surrounding areas for food. Food production is dependent on the surrounding areas, but it also has a dependence on food from imported food, from commercial food from shops and from people who come in to sell their produce over here.
But like the rest of the world, the changing times also herald growing concerns, one of which is climate change and food security. Addressing food security in the long term has emerged as a major issue in the Pacific region, with extreme weather events likely to impact food production in the future.
The climate challenge we face in Choiseul are enormous. So within Taro itself, Taro Island, you tend to see coastal erosion. This is also evident everywhere in the communities around Choiseul, more so in the southern and northern part of Choiseul. A number of communities have had houses washed away, and the thing is this: people think that's normal. I mean, they thought that's part of life. They didn't realize that this all came about because of climate change. So a number of things.
The Secretariat of the Pacific Community SPC is responding to food security concerns through a project funded by the United States Agency for International Development to enhance the resilience of food production systems to the effects of climate change in Choiseul. This project is a component of a larger program, the Choiseul Climate Change Program, GCAP, supported by SPC, USAID, the German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ, the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program, SPREP, the Pacific Australia Climate Change Adaptation and Planning Program, PACSAP, USAID, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and the Nature Conservancy, who are all collaborating to support communities strengthen food production systems in Choiseul. The Choiseul Integrated Climate Change Program, GCAP, was officially launched in January 2013 through the first ever planning workshop held in Taro. which included almost 148 community representatives, provincial and national government representatives, implementing regional agencies and development partners.
This is something that's not only relevant for the Solomon Islands but relevant across the region. Historically, over the last 10 or 15 years, the approach to climate change has been very much a project-by-project approach, and it was an opportunity to try something new of actually bringing all the partners into one consistent framework and focusing attention across the different sectors in one province. So if this model works, it's something that we can actually use to scale up across the region, and it'll be a much more effective and sustainable model for climate change adaptation activities.
What's interesting in Choiseul is that all of the partners have agreed to cooperate on the basis of agreed roles in support of the Choiseul Province. So this is a project that's not a SPREP project or an SPC project or a GIZ project. It's a Choiseul Province project. So we're all cooperating in what appears to date to be a very effective way to try to help the Choiseul Province meet its objectives.
It's the first time that we managed to pull something like that together, and this alone is already a great achievement. There will be quite a lot of challenges ahead, because each organization and each ministry, also the regional organizations, have their own rules and regulations, their own specifications and all that. So there's still quite a lot of stony way ahead, but I'm very optimistic that we manage. And by pulling all this together, we naturally have much more resources available, channeled towards a common goal.
3 months after the successful training workshop, a 19-member team comprising personnel from the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, SPC, GIZ, and UNDP visited communities in Choiseul Province in April 2013 to establish food security priorities after carrying out vulnerability and adaptation assessments.
The objective of the mission was to carry out a participatory rural assessment work on the 2 communities that we selected in Choiseul, and they are Sepa and Loimuni. The aim was to find out the vulnerability of the food production systems that they have, and what recommendations that we can give to these communities.
So PAC from the beginning of this year has undergone the land cover mapping of Solomon Islands and also for Choiseul, whereby we bring in the technical people from Solomons, namely Department of Lands, Forestry and Agriculture, to do the visual interpretation of the satellite imagery that we have. And at the end of that, we are able to produce the land cover map of Solomon Islands.
Sepa is located in the south of Choiseul Province. During the visit here, the team felt that more time was needed in the communities for consultations, adding that coordination with the province was an added challenge given the capacity and communication constraints in Choiseul. For villagers here, the challenges are greater.
With the protein and being food about the potato, taro, yam, like that. But this time, no more. This time, change it about the red all the way, and land too. Walk along inside the river, okay. Land come, spoil him every garden. Only para woman so. This time pala sort po kakaya. Pala sort po kakaya. Sometimes, some pala family sabi kakaya long morning. Some pala no long evening. But I really stop with people life with matter.
In Loimuni village, closer to the provincial capital Taro, The local diet consists mainly of sweet potatoes, cassava, slippery cabbage, and fern. However, food shortage is a major challenge, and the limited choice of crops and vegetables is causing a low diversity in the diet of households.
In 1950, hausemia, custom pakai boleh pala taro ya. Oh kita woman, ano kita mam blomi. Oh kita still using taro. Emna important pakai boleh pala. Kongo time emi come up long sa palagia mo sa 1960 over 74 sa dolceme me pala change important kakai boleh pala potato. Okay, kongo kasem this time osem important kakai osem something pala sa using every day no ma cassava ya tavioko ya hem no ma osem kasem this time ya.
The team has called for an urgent need to provide training on good agriculture practices and pest and disease control.
The energy sources are really pointing toward imported, but again, it's a little bit below the WHO and FAO calorie daily requirement per person. Yeah, so that shows that their energy and protein consumption or intake for each day is falling below the daily requirement for a person to be food secure.
When we asked them what do you think would be the best adaptation strategies for your communities, they just came up with a lot of training, assistance with new varieties of vegetables, training on food preservation, and also a lot of training for young mothers on proper nutrition.
Food security is one of the many challenges faced by communities in Choiseul. The Choiseul Integrated Climate Change Program provides a space for stakeholders to coordinate their efforts, share resources, and implement cost-effective and sustainable adaptation actions, and strengthen management approaches in implementing a multi-partner climate change adaptation program. The program, which initially started as discussions between national governments and regional agencies in 2011, has come into realization with 6 agencies and development partners signing off on a partners agreement to kickstart the pilot program in 2013.
We tried to work on the enabling environment first. We just had a policy now released. We're now looking at how we implement that policy. We're trying to mainstream climate change into the various ministries, sectors. So that's happening slowly, but it's relatively good progress, and also to the provincial government level.
It's very important that all of us play our roles. I think the important thing is we all try to make everybody aware that we have to take some responsibility in the decisions that we make on a daily basis, even at a family level, traditional level, tribal level, community level, even at a political level. I think that's the challenge before us.